Hey everyone, and welcome back to... Wait, what are we doing? Right, okay, yeah.
Podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Commander Clash podcast, where the Commander Clash crew, Richard, Seth, Krim, and I, Tomer, discuss Commander-related topics. And today we're going to be doing something rather personal. We're going to be talking about our personal bucket list for Commander, what we want to do in a Commander game that we have just never been able to pull off before. So we're just going to go around the table just talking about like either deck ideas or just cool things we want to pull off on a Commander game or ways we want to win that we've just never been able to pull off. And we've probably tried to do it or we've been thinking about doing it for a long time. And despite, we've played together for like 6 years. I think Commander Clash has been going on for 6 years. And we've been doing a weekly episode. So we have at least over, 200 episodes? I don't know. I don't know how many. I'm throwing out a random number.
Someone fixed the math. Editor fixed the math.
That's me. Don't put that on me. Our bucket list is a little bit more specific because we've done a lot. We've done a lot throughout our Commander Clash history. We've had the opportunity to try a bunch. And yet, there's still a lot of things we've never gotten a chance to do. So we're going to kick things off with Richard. What's one of the top things on your bucket list that you still have to pull off on Commander?
All right, we're going to start things easy. All right, I want to ramp with Cartographer's Hawk. Okay, now I've been playing it all season. Okay, at first it started as a meme. I'm like, okay, this card is so bad. Like, we got to play it to see why Wizards designed this. And now I genuinely think it's a good card. I've like full 180'd on this. Yet I've still never ramped.
Pretty low on it.
Why you don't?
There was one chance where I drew to my opening hand, and that one game I went first, and no one ramped before me. So the actual downfall of it not triggering. But for the rest of the other games, I've just not drawn it at the right, at all. Like you haven't seen me draw it, and this happened with Coveted Jewel. I played it for one full season without seeing it ever in my hand. Now I'm popping off with Coveted Jewel. It's finally come around.
Amazing.
So I think Cartographer's Hawk is good, and I want to actually ramp with it and show people that it's good. And hopefully every time I draw it, I'm not on the play against non-green decks, and then you're like, wow, that card's trash. So I got little things going against me, but I do want to ramp with Cartographer's Hawk, and it's been a whole season that I haven't been able to do it, and it's very upsetting actually.
I'm amazed it hasn't happened. It doesn't seem that hard. It doesn't, some of the, I'm looking at our list. Some of the things on our list, you need a lot to go right. Attack with a Cartographer's Hawk with someone having more lands than you, that seems like it should be. I'm shocked that you haven't done this already.
So low.
The bar is not
small sample size, right? We played 20-something games this season. How many of those have white in them? How many times have I drawn Cartographer's Hawk in my opening hand, right? It's not Soul Ring and Fill. I can't just magnet it to my hand, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. My real question, though, is why did you change your opinion on it if it's never done anything? You said you hated it, and then you played it a bunch, and it's never done anything.
It's never done anything.
You've come around.
It's only failed once. That one time where I actually had it on turn 2, it failed. But it ramps, and ramp is the most powerful thing you can do all of Magic. And yes, it's not as good as green ramp, but it's white ramp. It holds a Dowsing Dagger. It's very, very important. And it bounces itself back so that you can wrath the board and then end up with a 2/1 body, right? And it can attack planeswalkers. It can do all kinds of things. I think it's actually a good card.
A 1/1 flyer that can attack
Wizards
That's
has sold
amazing.
me. They sent enough money to my bank account. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Speaking of bank accounts, if you want to fill up Richard's bank account and all of our bank accounts, you could help us by supporting us on the channel. Go to mtggoldfishmerch.com. It's one of the ones. It's popping
merch.
up.
Just merch.
Seamless transition.
mtggoldfishmerch.com. Nailed it. One take. You could buy t-shirts, play mats, tokens, deck boxes, sleeves, perhaps other things. I don't even know. Maybe there's surprises there too. So that you could do that. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube or if you're listening to this on Spotify and Apple or whatever you're listening it on, maybe hit a like button, a follow button, whatever the equivalent is on the platform that you're watching it / listening to it on. That would be great. Sorry, that was a seamless transition. Back to you, Richard. Hey,
I'm done. Cartographer's Hawk has sold itself. Done.
All right, I have a suggestion then. How about you don't run it in a deck with green? Because I remember you did that, like, last time you were running the Hawk.
It's
you're
still
like,
right. Now, YouTube pointed out that wood elves exist, and I forgot about that. But I would have just run them both.
You got to play it with Yavimaya Dryad, so you can tutor out a land to give to an opponent, so then you can turn on your Cartographer's Hawk and get your land. Combo.
That's a lot of work.
I'm gonna royally tutor
I like it.
turn 1 just to show you guys. I'm gonna Edamame's call just to get this Hawk in hand.
Edamame's call. That makes me hungry. What?
Seems like a bad usage of that card.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like land deficit cards like Lotus Field and Lotus Veil, like those are the ways to help it. Like Path to Exile helps it because you're giving your opponents lands. But like, man, it's not a good card.
I'm just afraid that Krim knows it's on my bucket list, so he's gonna definitely swords it when like,
Oh,
it has
yeah.
this one chance for glory. The one chance for glory, it like
swords.
eats a Kabira takedown or swords.
Yeah, the
Just to
50th
keep
time
it.
you jam the Hawk, and this time the stars have aligned that you could actually ramp with it.
Don't make me bring back Bird Tribal, even though I cut it out of Bird Tribal the last time I played. I will do it.
Really? I feel like that's the deck that it would make sense in.
Yeah, that's the only that like God Eternal Oketra, because God Eternal Oketra makes a zombie. each
Because
time in
Toski and things like that, I don't want my creatures bouncing. Like, I don't need a ramp. I'm playing birds. They're all 2 mana. And I don't want my things bouncing either. I want it on the battlefield drawing cards. So that's why I took it out, but I'll just put it back to prove a point.
The point is that it's trash.
Wow,
right,
I didn't know
moving-
this was Crush Your Dreams week. Come on, this is my dream I'm sharing with you guys.
We're all being supportive here.
So supportive. Thanks for the brainstorming ideas.
I'm supporting you by saying don't waste your time.
It's very good. No, Richard, it is very good.
This is
It's
the Asian
good
carrots. Oh, your dreams are great, but you're becoming a doctor, right?
Yeah.
Throw that arts out of here. You're a lawyer, right? Yeah, good dreams.
You can do it as a hobby, right?
pretty much what I am now, a lawyer.
All right,
Twitch
we'll move
streamer,
on.
lawyer, all the same.
All right,
We'll move on.
Richard's bucket list item, a little bit too easy. Mine is on the other end of the spectrum. There's this infamous combo that I play a lot of combos. I play against odds. Not much intimidates me when it comes to trying to pull something off in Magic. But this combo, even I am a little scared to try. But it would be so amazing if I could ever do it. There's this combo where you can actually put your entire commander deck into the command zone, which is kind of hilarious because it's pointless. And it's if you actually look at the combo, it gets even better because part of it involves getting your entire deck on the battlefield first. So then you can put it in the command zone. So in theory, you could just attack with and win with it. But it's like a 16 card combo or something that basically you're using Vadrock, one of the mutate commanders. And the idea is you can get all your cards into your library and then manifest them on the battlefield using Mastery of the Unseen. So they're all creatures. And then there's this card they printed in a commander product called Leadership Vacuum that is 3 mana. Target player returns each commander they control from the battlefield to the command zone, and you get to draw a card. So essentially, if you have a way to keep putting that on the bottom of your library, you can use Vadrock to just keep casting it. So you manifest your Vadrock on every single one of the manifests after you put them all into play, and then you have your entire deck in your command zone, which I just think it would be so funny. It's so unlikely that you can ever pull it off because it's like 16 pieces and you got to do jump through a ton of hoops. It's the opposite of attacking with the Cartographer's Hawk. I don't know if it's even possible to pull off in a game of Commander, but if it ever happened, oh my goodness, it would be so hilarious and just so sweet.
I will say that I've seen it actually been pulled off on Magic Online in a solitaire game. So
you can definitely do it in a
so it's
solitaire,
actually
but when you have
possible.
it's definitely possible. But when you have 3 opponents that are trying to kill you or casting removal or counter spells, then it gets a lot harder. So it is definitely possible. It's just unlikely when you have opponents.
highly unlikely. Yeah, I think I saw like on Max Plays Magic. I think I saw the short there. I'll link it on the YouTube. Have it pop up on the screen as a card. It's definitely possible. Don't know if you could pull it off. That's gonna be difficult in a real game.
It's
16 pieces is not exactly
It's a
easy.
blood
if you
moon.
And they're not
All
like
you
good
need's a
cards
blood
in a
moon.
vacuum.
Buy all
So
the
Blood
time
Moon
you
won
need.
you the game, not the combo.
This combo doesn't win the game at all, right? You just stick everything in the command zone, right? You
No,
can't
you
win it anyway.
basically lose the game. You put everything in the command zone.
Probably like Lab Man, right, or something.
I mean, you could. And really, like, if you stopped at this step before putting your stuff in the command zone, the combo would let you manifest your entire deck with Mastery of the Unseen. So you could make, like, 99 creatures or something and just attack everyone to death with them. But what's the point in that when you can do something that doesn't seem like it should be possible, which is, I've never seen a non-commander in the command zone, let alone an entire deck in the
I
command
think that's
zone.
my bucket list. Just like a non-commander. Maybe a cartographer's hawk even in the command zone. Its rightful place. That one should be more doable, right? We should be able to do that one more easily.
I don't know
What's
about you.
easier, riffing with a cartographer's hawk or putting all the cards in your deck into the command zone?
Like, does it have command tax if it's in the command? Like, what exactly is happening? Can you cast
Can
it
you
from
even
there?
cast it? What,
I don't think
what does
so.
happen?
I think you can get some of them out with like Eureka or something like that. I don't remember.
Wait, yeah, I don't think you can cast it, right?
I need to watch that short again.
We're gonna have to try it. But yeah, just getting a thing in the command zone shouldn't be hard. All you gotta do is mutate your commander on something and then cast Leadership Vacuum, and that would get a thing in the command zone.
Yeah.
But everything a little bit more work.
Well, yeah. All right, moving on. Krim, what do you have for us on your bucket list?
So for my bucket list, I have a combo I've been wanting to pull off, but it's kind of hard to get all the colors to do everything, but and also the cards on the board. But it is Hive Mind, Ashiok Dream Render, and Doomsday. So the goal here is to make it so that everybody, I play Hive Mind, I have Ashiok on the board. Ashiok says players can't, or your opponents can't search their libraries. Then you cast Doomsday, everybody gets a copy. Nobody gets to look through their deck except you. And then, yeah, so that's the goal. They just exile their whole deck.
I might have bad news, and that bad news might be that Ashiok says spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause them to search libraries.
They have a Hive Mind copy.
Oh,
Yeah, so they control
okay,
the
I got
Hive
it.
Mind
So they're
copies.
controlling. I got
Yeah.
you.
So they have to Doomsday, right?
So Doomsday says search your library and graveyard for 5 cards and exile the rest. So you can't search your library, but then you still exile the rest?
Yeah, so their graveyard is gone, right? Because you're going to activate Ashiok, and then so they have nothing. And then you cast the Doomsday, and then they just do nothing.
Ooh.
And then they die.
Ooh.
That is pretty hilarious, actually.
That's a good
It's a Hive Mind combo with Ashiok like rammed in there, right? Because a normal Hive Mind combo is like a pact or something, right? Where
Nah.
you give them a pact, they can't pay for it, and they die.
That's boring.
This one is you beat them with the Ashiok.
Yeah.
Also, the pact
Ashiok
doesn't
with
kill
the dunk.
5-color decks, right? Because if you, whatever pact you cast, they will still have the mana to pay for. So this is like a better pact, kind of.
Yeah, it's a for sure thing. Unless, of course, they remove the Ashiok or anything else along the way. But you don't worry about that stuff. So the
We
thing
don't believe
here
in
is,
interaction.
yeah, nobody plays interaction. So that is a combo I would love to do on Commander Clash. But I worry about anything that goes beyond a 2-card combo if that'll break Moto. I do worry about that.
I mean, if Moto can use 16 cards to put the deck in the command zone, I bet it can handle Hive Mind Doomsday. I bet
I
it
hope
can get
so.
there.
I really do hope so.
Also to just clarify here, if something's on the bucket list, it usually means it's something not that easy to pull off, or else we probably would have done it already. We have been playing Commander Clash together for like 6 years, and we've been playing a new deck every single week. So odds are, if something shows up here, it's because we might have even tried and failed in the past. So,
I've tried. Ashiok died. No. And then I've died the other time when I've tried to do that. So, yeah, like having a Planeswalker as a part of a combo is very scary on a pot of 3 or with 3 other people. So, you kind of need to go off that turn.
Yeah. If you see a Planeswalker, it's just like, and you can attack into it, it's like, why wouldn't you, right? It's like,
Yeah.
So, works against that on that regard, at least. All right, so mine, I'm going to kick things off with one of my favorite combos that I have in my personal paper Zedru deck. This is 9 lives plus Fractured Identity plus Patrician Scorn to kill everybody with 9 lives. So the way this works, it's a 3-card combo. The way it works is it starts with 9 lives, which is a 3 mana white enchantment that has hexproof. And it has a bunch of text, but the main part of this card that you care about for the combo is that when it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. So what you do, you see, is you have 9 lives on the battlefield. Then you cast Fractured Identity, which is an Azorius, a white-blue 5 mana sorcery that says exile target non-land permanent, and then each other player, other than the controller of that permanent, creates a token that's a copy of it. So, you cast Fractured Identity on the 9 lives, you exile your 9 lives, and you give a copy of 9 lives to each of your opponents with Fractured Identity. Then the 9 lives, the original 9 lives, you lose the game trigger, goes on the stack. But before that you lose the game trigger resolves, you cast Patrician Scorn. And Patrician Scorn is a card probably nobody knows about because it's not very good. It's very specific. It's a 4 mana white instant that says if you play another white spell this turn, like 9 lives or Fractured Identity, you can cast it for free. So you're casting this for free, and you destroy all enchantments. So in response to the you lose the game trigger, you cast Patrician Scorn, you blow up your opponent's 9 lives copies, their lose the game triggers go on the stack on top of yours, so they resolve first, they lose the game, and then you win the game because you're the last one at the table before your trigger could even resolve. So you lose after they do, but then you win because you're the only one there. It's a convoluted combo. I have it in my Zedru deck because you can just gift the 9 lives to somebody and then make them lose that way. But this is much cooler. It's a 3-step process, but it's 3 cards. I'm not really I didn't build the deck around it. It's just like a win condition that I have in the deck. I've tried I've played Zedru 10 times since I put the combo in there. I never won once. But one day will be really sweet.
Oh, I mean, I do love Fractured Identity, so that definitely sounds cool. Do you think that's just worth, let's say you're just playing a generic deck. Is it worth throwing that in there as your, really janky Splinter Twin? Or do you have to be like Zedru or build around it to really play it? Could you play it in more decks, I guess, is the question.
I think you could put it in other decks. I'm not sure which ones would really like it, but I really like it in Zedru because if you just have 9 lives on the battlefield, you can just donate the 9 lives to somebody else, and then eventually the 9 lives will leave, and they will lose the game. So it's just basically it's a 2-card combo, one of them being your commander. But this one's a lot more ambitious, and I don't know. There might be other commanders that might like this little combination as well, but I'm not sure off the top of my head.
9 lives is always risky, especially in Commander. It's risky in a 1v1 game, but in Commander, when you have 3 opponents, those 10 counters add up really, really quickly.
Or any board wipe. You can't just cast 9 lives and then be all right, now I pass. That's a losing situation right there. That's why. So yeah, 9 lives not a good card by itself. You have to actually use this drawback to your advantage. But anyway, we'll move on to Richard. We got another card, another thing on your bucket list.
All right. I want to win with an Armageddon in a non-scummy way. How do we make Armageddon fun?
You play against a table of green players, and I'll laugh.
So you have straight Armageddon. You have so one card I actually play sometimes is the 6 mana. There's a 6 mana sorcery, destroy all lands or destroy all creatures. So I play that sometimes because you don't want to hold an Armageddon because sometimes you don't want to be scummy and just Armageddon for no reason and drag the game on. But you can wrath the board instead. You can Toxrill, Cormus Bell. You can boil. You can what's the Yavimaya Orborg thing?
Yavimaya Cradle of Growth.
Yeah, Acid Rain or whatever.
Drop my mention.
We'll talk about that later, Richard.
The closest thing I can think of is Nieduk built me a Phoenix deck where we had Jokalops and things like that, and you had Phoenixes that come back. But how do I Armageddon you guys and have you guys be happy about it? And I haven't cracked this one yet, and I think about it every week.
You don't. No one is ever
possible.
happy.
There's got to be some way to do it where everyone's well played, good sir. Well played, good sir. Give you the vote, right? There's got to be.
My hot take is Armageddon's not really that salty. Like most of the times when you've cast it, the game ends, right? Like you just finish the job. So I've never really had an issue with Armageddon. I do understand that like if you just like pop it off, like you're just like you're behind on the board state and nobody has like creatures or anything, and you're just like, oh, I guess we'll Armageddon. Like, yeah, that's not cool. But like,
is that not cool? I think that's pretty funny.
I mean, it's funny, but it's like, don't do that again, please. That's not something I want to experience again. But Richard, when you cast it in Commander Clash, you're just like, all right, I have the biggest board state. I'm gonna cast Armageddon. Now you can't deal with my board state, and I kill you. I'm like, okay. I mean, that's fair beats. I don't know.
I
don't know if
Richard,
there's
you know
any
what?
way-
You could do it. You could do it with me at the table. I'll never be upset
I'll
about
do
it.
it
I
on you
think
guys all the time.
Yeah.
don't put it past me. I will
He
definitely
has,
do it.
like he has.
But you know, I do have a cautious. Like I do go to bed at night. I'm like,
He tosses the turns.
I
Oh,
write in my
have to worry
diary, you
about
know,
that.
dear diary, today I did a very bad thing. You know, I used Armageddon for a victory. I promised I would never do that again. You know, like.
Was that a bad thing though? You did the thing, and I think that's pretty funny. So I'm here for it.
I do think the further away you get from literal Armageddon, the funnier it becomes. Like if you say Kamal Living Lands or something,
Yeah,
it's like effectively Armageddon, but it's like it's a combo and it's funnier. I don't know. Maybe I'm just
thematic.
coping now.
Those ones don't bother me as much. Like if you do some like crazy Cormus Bell Tox roll shenanigans or something, like
Well, we were set on
that's
killing
kind
Krim on
of-
the spot when we found out about.
well,
that.
I mean, I'm trying to
You
win.
milled it.
Like
It's funny because I basically begged Krim to run in. I was like, as soon as I found he was running, I was like, hey Krim, check out these cards, please Krim, please run it. And of
ever
course,
since
I wasn't
then,
doing it,
I've
so.
been in love. I've been in love.
yeah.
Oh, hot take, by the way, better than Armageddon. One of my favorite cards is Razia's Purification, which is like the Boros version of Armageddon, except like 10 times worse. It basically says like each player gets to choose like 3 permanents they like, and then they sacrifice the rest. Now that is a magic card. Because you don't want them to have mana rocks and stuff, right? So like,
I actually remember when I first started playing Commander Clash. You can go back and watch in the first season. I didn't know all the rules and like the norms of what you were supposed to do and not do. So I used to play Apocalypse in a lot of my decks. And Apocalypse is the worst. It's 5 mana and it exiles all permanents and you have to discard your hand. So there's no way that you can actually close out the game. It just like,
Why would you run this card?
well, I thought it was funny. Why wouldn't I run it? But yeah, so you can definitely find that in the early seasons of Commander Clash before I learned that you're not supposed to do that.
well,
It's like
there's
Narset Wheel plus Armageddon.
you could definitely like turn that into a wing
That's
condition.
pretty funny.
And-
Oh my
and
god.
In fact, I think this would be a good transition to one of the cards that I see on your list. There's one card that you mentioned here that might go really well with Armageddon. Hey, transition seamless. I'm just like the transition king today.
That's true. That was very good. So also on my bucket list, I love alt win conditions, and one of the tougher ones is Barren Glory. Barren Glory, actually a black border version of a unset card, an acorn card. The G stands alone. Basically, it's a 6 mana enchantment, and to win the game, it has to be the only card on your battlefield or in your hand at the beginning of your upkeep. So essentially, no other permanents, no cards in hand, just this 6 mana enchantment. And it sounds like that would be really difficult. How are you going to get a 6 mana enchantment on the battlefield? You need lands, you need some sort of mana. So essentially, you got to have a way to blow up your own stuff. Probably the easiest way to do it is to hide away your Barren Glory under something like Oblivion Ring, something that temporarily exiles. And then that's where Apocalypse could actually be a win condition. Apocalypse would get rid of all your permanents, get rid of your hand. Your win condition would come back out from under the Oblivion Ring, and then all of a sudden, the cheese is standing alone, the Barren Glory is there, and you win the game. I've had this combo in various decks in Commander. I've never come close to doing it. And there are a lot of ways it can go wrong. If you go back to that apocalypse plan and someone can blow up the Oblivion Ring in response to your apocalypse, then you just like wrath your board, wipe out your hand, and you have nothing. So it's very, very high risk, but it's definitely a win condition that I should probably pick back up. I played it a lot in the past. I haven't played it much recently, so I probably got to start working on that again because I really want to do it in Commander.
That would be really cool to see, actually.
That's so sick. All right, Krim, what do you got for us next?
Well, Richard already mentioned one of them, but like one of the things, as you know, is I love forests and everything about green magic. So though I pretty much sold out of I pretty much got rid of all my reserve list cards, right? Except for one card, and it's Acid Rain. So that is a card.
I didn't know that was reserve list.
Like, I have it, I still hold on to it, and I didn't know that it's as much as it is now, but I'll tell you what, this is a card if you walked into my house and you opened the door, right? If at some point when there's the MTG Goldfish Mansion and you just open the door, the first thing you see is this huge picture frame. It would just be Acid Rain because it destroys all forests. And so I just want to combine that with Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth. Now, I will cast the card even if I don't have Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth. I will just cast it to make sure I blow up the green player's mana base. So I love, like, if I can blow up everybody's lands with Yavimaya, which is what it essentially does, because Yavimaya turns every land into a forest. That's pretty funny, even if it's my own. But legitimately, I just want to cast Acid Rain. That's all, and have it blow up the entire mana base of everybody. So that's all. Not asking for much. And along the lines of and so Richard's over there like, I've got a conscience. I gotta go to bed. I'm sleeping better. Oh my God. I just got a warm blanket on in a cold night. And that is the Acid Rain combo. Now, believe it or not, along the lines of this, I'm going to just drop my other bucket list thing because it is along the lines of picking off people's lands, but this one isn't like definite. This is based on how much mana you have, and as funny as it is, it relies on green, one of my most hated colors. But it uses Kamal Fist of Krosa, and then it uses Goblin Sharpshooter. So Kamal Fist of Krosa reads, because this is a thing I did back with my friends in like middle school. Back when I had I thought it was funny to blow up lands then too. So, but Kamal Fist of Krosa is a 6-mana 4/3. You pay a green, target land becomes a 1/1 creature until end of turn. The other abilities are irrelevant. So then the next part is Goblin Sharpshooter. It's a 2 and a red. Goblin Sharpshooter doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever a creature, yeah, exactly, Thor. Whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, untap Goblin Sharpshooter, and you can tap Goblin Sharpshooter to deal damage to a creature or player. So essentially, you just turn all your opponent's lands into 1/1s and pick them all off.
Your mom?
Yeah, that actually, I can deal with that. Out of all the Armageddons, like that one, okay, you got me. I'm not gonna be too upset. The Acid Rain one, that one's a little bit more questionable. But if you Kamal me, I'm fine with that.
I mean, that's also what Kamal does too. Like, if you're playing Kamal, you gotta expect that your lands are gonna get blown up at some point. I think that's fair beats.
That's probably more common practice now, but like that was like the thing is, I feel like Kamal and Goblin Sharpshooter wasn't that popular up until like I think Commander became a format. I was trying to do this in 60 card format, so I will gladly do it in 100 card.
Yeah, and I mean you can now do it like in Commander pretty reliably because there's a new Kamal that has partner, so you can slide this one in the 99, and if you run partner Kamal, then you can just partner it up with a red commander and then a red partner, and then boom, you can run both in the 99.
Oh, you could play around an Anthem. So if you play what's that card? Oh no, that requires you. It only triples the damage once it's activated. It's not a passive. Never mind.
I think
like Night of Soul's Betrayal or something, right? Like you could Curse of Death's Hold.
Yeah.
You could do any one of these Tox Roll type effects and then just mow everything down.
But that's so fun. It's so fun. That's so cool.
Is there Acid Rain for every color?
Ooh.
Do we have like Destroy All Plains or Destroy All Mountains?
Yeah, Desertion or whatever is Destroy All... No, wait. Desertion is Destroy All White Permanents. But there is a Destroy All Plains.
I think there is Destroy All Plains.
There's
not Destroy All Mountains.
Yeah. There's lots of blue hate.
Yeah,
There's boiled. I think it's wildfire kills destroys all.
Flash
fire. Yeah,
That's
flash
that's
fire.
actually in modern too. It was reprinted in 9th edition. I didn't realize that.
What destroys all swamps?
Do we have one?
Swamps?
I'm looking right now. Destroy all swamps.
So we'll eventually get Urborgs for every color. So
Well, actually,
these
the
will just
funny-
get better and better, right?
The funny thing is, so when they printed Yavimaya, people actually said that. Like, when are we getting the next one? And Wati came out and said, well, I don't think we're going to print them in any more colors. Exactly because of the combos that Krim is talking about. I didn't realize Acid Rain was a card because it's so old and it hasn't been reprinted. But they're like, we can't make a blue one because then everyone's just gonna like play it and then cast Boil or whatever and blow up their opponent's mana base. Like it would be too broken if we print more of them.
Change.
Oh, that's
Maybe
the
they'll
problem.
come around.
But Uro can exist. Okay. All right.
I think you gotta mash it in with your Hive Mind kill, Krim. Like, mash all these together. There's a card called, like, Life and Death. It's like a 1-mana sorcery that turns all your lands into 1/1s until end of turn. If you Hive Mind, then your opponents would have to cast it. And then you can also mash it in with Doomsday, like, all 5-colored bucket list tribal.
It makes
Oh
me
my
think of
God.
the deck I wanted to try, which was a Kenrith 5-color just hate cards.
Of course. Of course you do.
I would Blood Moon myself, but whatever.
That's just called stacks.
No, it's not stacks if it doesn't benefit you, though, right? Like if I'm Blood Mooning myself, I also play Contamination. You know what I mean? Choke. It's just every hate card ever printed.
I have
Actually, I
a
should do
new
that.
thing in my bucket list now based on this conversation. So Urborg turns everything into a swamp, as we said. But I found the one card that destroys all swamps. It's a little bit more ambitious, but it's Return of the Night Stalker. This is a 7-mana sorcery. Return all Night Stalker permanent cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then destroy all swamps you control. So if you have Hive Mind, you have Urborg, and then you cast Return of the Night Stalkers, and everybody will return all their Night Stalkers with probably nothing, and then they destroy all their swamps. So boom, got him. So
Guys, I have the
got 'em.
solution. It's 4 mana. It's called Armageddon. It accomplishes what you want from
Apparently,
one card.
Armageddon's
Yeah.
too salty. We have to find more
We
creative
gotta
ways to
assemble
blow
it from like
Armageddon.
8 card
Yeah.
combos and 20 mana to do the same effects.
Armageddon,
Yeah.
very salty. This, not salty. Boom, we fixed MLD in Commander.
We did. Everything that's been mentioned so far, I wouldn't
Solution.
even be salty. Actually, but
Just
I'm not
make
salty
it
about
worse.
Armageddon.
Just do same, but make it worse. Done. No salt.
Yeah, but one of these leaves you with more slugs, okay?
I want to see the next fan meeting. You know, we're like playing with fans, like Commander Clash. All of us are trying to get our bucket lists of like mass land destruction in various ways. Hello, fan.
Thanks
Nice
for
to
coming.
meet you. We'll wipe all their lands. Like I did
I
with fist
wanted
bump.
to do this.
Oh my god, that reminds me my one paper modern deck was Mono Red Prison, and I remember going to like an SCG Open just to like meet fans, and everyone would be like, "Oh, can I play Modern against you?" Like,
You
sure,
can play
but
You want to?
my
Modern,
only deck
sure.
is trying to play like Chalice of the Void and Blood Moon on turn 1. So if you insist,
I mean, I play Jund to give them the free win. You know, make them feel good about themselves.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. So this one was inspired by a short that Seth made on Wood Elemental, which was dubbed one of the worst cards, or at least one of the worst green creatures ever printed.
it's one of the worst cards. It's so bad.
One of the worst cards. Okay, so yeah, so high praise for this card. It's at least it's the best at something. So it's the best at being the worst. So that's better than being just fully
At least
mediocre.
it's known for something.
Yeah, it's known for something. So it's a Wood Elemental. This is a very old card from the Legends. Also reserve list, so very
expensive is
expensive
it?
if you want to play this garbage. It's a 4-mana green elemental creature, and when it enters the battlefield, you have to sacrifice any number of untapped forests, and its power and toughness are each equal to the number of forest sacrifices as it enters the battlefield. So if you pay 4 mana and you don't sacrifice any untapped forests, it's a 0/0 and immediately dies. So you have to pay 4 mana, and then you have to spend an additional. You have to sacrifice additional untapped forests. These cannot be tapped to pay for the wood elemental. You have to have extra ones on reserve to sacrifice untapped to wood elemental to make it like a creature that can stay on the battlefield. So it's really bad. By objectively speaking, 2021 standards, not very good. But then I was thinking, like, if it's so bad, I mean, I need to win a game of Commander with it, right? Like, that's the whole point of Commander Clash, is to win with trash. So Wood Elemental, I want to do it. I'm thinking, like, I don't know how I'll kill you with Wood Elemental, but, like,
Fling.
sacrificing forest might be good in, like, Priest of Titania or something, or no, Titania Protector of Argoth or something. I don't know. It looks like trash, but
Lord Windgrace, you can get him back. Maybe Vorinclex to double the count. That might be the way to go. Like doubling season Vorinclex. So then you get a bunch of counters on it. Maybe there's got to be something.
Use
with
the
Couple
spells that
counters.
return everything that went to the graveyard this turn, and then you play a landfall deck. I think you can actually use this like
You can
like
sudden
second
reclamation.
sunrise
legitimacy.
and face reward.
but I
yeah,
think
like
kill you
those
with
kind
it
of
as well.
effects, right?
Like-
And then you get a big creature, or I guess you could sack some forest and then acid rain.
Yeah.
Right?
Got
You
him.
end up with like a 3/3 because that's all the mana you had, but like that's a clock that you could use after your Armageddon.
Hey, don't knock that. I've done that in Modern, okay? Goblin Dark Dwellers, Boom Bust.
But like,
Slogger.
I think you can like Valakut somehow. Like you use this as a weird green Valakut with like the white return things, and then you do something with the triggers.
You play so you play you're an all forest, you're all mountain deck. You have Valakut in your deck. You play Yavimaya, Cradle of whatever,
Yeah.
to turn them all into forest. You sacrifice all your mountains to Wood Elemental, and then you like spun Reclamation or something, get all the mountains back onto the battlefield,
Okay.
and you win the winners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Might
Come
be
on,
able to
Brett.
kill half a person.
Send a
Wood
message.
Elemental is $40.
Yeah. Reserve
That's
list
so.
is
It's a
fun
Legends
thing.
card. Is it
Yeah,
reserve
but
list?
Yeah, it's
$40 for this.
Acid Rain's like 300, by the way.
Yeah,
'cause it's
yeah,
actually
I did-
playable.
But look at the art on it.
That's why it's $40.
The art
You're
is
paying
sweet,
for the
yeah.
art.
Yeah, that's you know what that makes sense.
What about like
1994.
Gitrog? You might be able to play it in a deck. Like Gitrog could be good. Maybe it's not actually that bad in the right
Maybe
deck.
it's actually great in Commander. Maybe it's a sleeper.
You know what we gotta do is Wood Elves week. Everyone builds a Wood Elves deck, and the only way you're allowed to win involves Wood Elves.
Wood Elemental.
Upcoming on Commander or
Wood Elemental.
Wood Elemental.
Wood
I'm
Elves
sorry,
would be every
yeah.
other week.
Wood
Yeah,
Elves
Wood
are
Elves,
actually
yeah,
good
that already
cards. I feel like
happens.
I feel
Yeah,
like
Wood
it's pretty
Elemental.
easy. Yeah,
I think
Wood
we should do
Elemental
that.
week. Justice for Wood Elemental. All right, moving on. Richard, what do you got for us?
All right. I've tried to build this deck several times, and it's mono white spellslinger, and I've never actually made it anywhere with. Like I built it, I'm like, this deck is trash. I mean, disassemble it, then I go with some other deck. But my thoughts are like, white has a lot of cheap spells. White has a lot of recursive spells. You should be able to do this in some way. What is the Storm Finisher? You have like Aetherflux Reservoir. That's the thing. Right, if you really want to cheat, you could go like Boros, and like that's a real deck, right? But like in mono white, you just have Reservoir. I don't know, like I was thinking like you have like precursor golems or something, and then you play like your white combat tricks and you duplicate them. I don't know what's going on, but I really want to build mono white spellslinger.
Oh, Richard, I got it for you. I got it. There's a card from Strixhaven, Show of Confidence. It's Grape Shot, except it puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature for each copy. So you play Cartographer's Hawk. You sling a bunch of spells, 40 counters on Cartographer's Hawk. Boom, one shot.
Two
I think that
birds,
could work.
one stone, or like two hawks, one bucket list
shot.
I like it.
I actually,
That-
and you know, your commander could be Mavinda Student's Advocate, which is also a bird, so that's on brand.
Yeah.
And it has something to do with instants and sorceries. It's you can cast it to a sorcery from your graveyard for 0.
Oh, it's the
if-
owl.
If it targets a creature you control.
Yeah.
Oh, and it does target. So you can flash it. It's
Yeah.
like Passion Flame. It's a white Passion Flame.
Flash
we
in
broke
to show
it.
confidence.
We broke it. We
you
just
storm off,
we
you
just
show
built
confidence, you flash it back, boom, insta kill. This could happen.
I think this one's possible now.
This one's actually pretty close. I like it. You can secret rendezvous, fill up your hand. So the other thing is you need to draw cards, right? Like Storm decks need to draw cards. So you know we have critical mass.
White
card
is well known for drawing a lot of cards in a single turn. If anything, white is known for, it's definitely that.
This is doable. All right. We need some theme where I can sneak this in.
Mono white spellslinger is just gonna fizzle 90% of the time.
That's like all Storm decks, Grim, but 1% of the time.
No, blue red
off.
can do it. Like pretty
fine.
consistent.
All right, Tomer, you bring budget tall red, and I'll bring like $10,000 mono white spellslinger.
Well, see who does better. Spoilers, tolerant. High tide's worth like 50 cents. That's all I need for Richard. All right. That sounds actually really sweet. I'm excited for it now. Moving on. Seth, what do you got for us?
Well, speaking of things I want to win with, I got another alt win condition. And this one, I don't think it's currently possible. And that's why it's so intriguing to me. And that is Hedron alignment. Hedron alignment is like an infamously hard alt win con. It's a 3-mana enchantment. And then if at the beginning of your upkeep, I think it's scries or something irrelevant, but at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have one in your exile zone, one in your hand, one on the battlefield, and one in your graveyard, you reveal them all and you win the game on the spot. And I think you pay 3 to scry one. So it doesn't do anything. So you need 4 of them. And you can make extra copies in Commander. That's not a problem. We got clones. We got, things that like mirror weave, mirror whatever that copies an enchantment. So there's plenty of ways to get one in your hand, get one on the battlefield. You could maybe you could get like halfway there. The problem is the exile zone in the graveyard. With our current card pool, if you make a copy of it, it's going to disappear. You can get one on the battlefield and one in the graveyard, one in the hand and one in the battlefield, but you can't have one in the graveyard and in exile. So we need Wizards to print cards to make this possible, and I think we're getting closer with some of the crazy new digital only designs they're making. I think maybe we'll see some of those mechanics that take off, like pour over into paper. If you could make a real copy of this, then it would be possible. Another option would be like a clone that worked in all zones, which seems like something Wizards could print, like enters the battlefield as a copy of a permanent and it remains a copy of that permanent no matter where it goes. Like that's something I could see Wizards doing. So I want Wizards to print something, even if it's still really, really hard to do, just to make it possible to win with Hedron alignment. Because I think every other alt win condition that's not banned, it's possible to win with in Commander, even if it's difficult. This is the one that is just straight up impossible.
What about? I have an idea. Called Shot. So they love doing, what's it called? Where like you make a token copy of something and it's an arena only mechanic. What's it called?
Conjure,
seeking.
Yeah.
What if they made it so they changed the rules for tokens where if they leave the battlefield, they still exist.
Ooh,
and then suddenly you can
do it.
conjure.
That would be pretty
thing.
cool.
Oh, that would do it too. That would be really easy. Do you think that would be a good rule?
No.
We're getting way off track. That might be tough to keep track of.
It would be a bad rule, but
You're gonna have
maybe.
someone with a bunch of like coins and scraps of paper in their graveyard,
And then you're literally not allowed to play without sleeves, right? But I guess MDFCs kind of do that anyway, like flip
you need
cards. Like you put
sleeves.
that in your hand, you need a proxy
Cyclonic
anyway.
Rift will even be more of a blast when it bounces all of those tokens that you have to play over again.
You have to
Play for 0 mana because they have no mana cost.
Well, yeah, they would
Yeah.
unless they're a copy of something that has a mana value, it wouldn't have a mana value, right? So you play your tokens for free or whatever if you bounce it back to your hand.
So if you rename Hedron alignment, does that work?
So there's actually, I think, silver bordered cards that you can change names on things, and that I think would make it theoretically possible for you to be able to do it. But then you're in the realm of like unsets and acorn cards. But
so
there's
no
nothing
way
in
to-
black border that lets you give something another card's name that exists.
so
in black.
close.
You can't like change it into a copy of another card or something and then have it take that new card's name.
Yeah. We're like so close. We're very, very close, but just not quite there. Yeah.
The
It's
technology
gonna happen.
just
Though.
isn't
It's
there
gonna
yet.
happen.
What if you Gonti?
Oh,
But
that
it's
would
the
be
wrong
possible.
exile. It's the wrong. It's the other guy's exile.
because
right?
so you could steal a gun. You would still the pinch is getting one in the graveyard and one in exile. Like Well, I guess
So
hand.
you can put your own in the graveyard and you Gonti someone else's or something.
No.
Like you steal it from their decks.
You have to own it.
No.
You have to own a card named Hedron Alignment in Exile. So it can't be your opponent's exiled Hedron Alignment.
But you could get your opponent's copy on the battlefield
Yeah.
and have your copy in like the graveyard or exile. But then you're still short. Like I don't think there's a way to do it.
Two
currently.
opponents.
Two opponents. But how
No,
do
but
you get your
you-
opponent's
Maybe
card
you
in the graveyard
Mindslaver
and
somewhere in here
exile?
too.
You can
Take
get your
turn.
opponents onto your battlefield, but you can't put your opponents. You need still one in your hand and in exile and in graveyard, and that's just impossible.
What if you like donate all of it to someone? like you Gonti their Hedron and you donate
You still can't
yours and
have
they
one in
win.
graveyard. Like you can't. You still just can't have more like one in your graveyard, exile in hand at the same time, even if you have somebody helping you. I
Yeah,
don't
because
think it's possible.
you can't put your opponent's cards into those zones, basically.
Yeah,
like
they
you
can
can
only
never
assist
put
with
your
the
opponent's
battlefield.
card into your exile zone. So your opponent's card can only help with the battlefield clause, and then you still got the pinch.
That's still
You
three.
can get
two more.
zones.
You
You
need
can't
two
get all
more.
the zones. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's battlefield plus a zone. That's all you can do right now. Technology just isn't there.
So do you think they're gonna make a way to win with this eventually?
I'm called shot. Token errata. Tokens can leave the battlefield. They don't disappear. Boom. 2023 Magic the Gathering.
Or they could just add commander to arena, and then it would be possible on arena with some of the new mechanics. I think.
Technology isn't there. We need to go Hearthstone. You need to draft a card from your. I don't know. Anyway, we'll come back to that one in the future, I'm sure, to see what happens with it. Moving on, Krim, what do you got for us?
Okay, so for me, I think another goal I want to do is it's a common thing, like it's been known to be done, but like people have pulled it off. But it's Opalescence and Starfield of Nyx, because I always have those cards in like my Alayla deck and stuff like that. But every time I turn my stuff into creatures, I've gotten Ether Spouted, I've gotten Cyclonic Rifted. All the creature, like turning all your enchantments actively into things that people like can easily target is not great.
No.
So I've never gotten an Opalescence win or a Starfield of Nyx. And I'm sure people have done it. I just never get to, because every time people just do something about it instantly on the spot. So feels kind of bad, but I just want to know that I could do it.
I think with those cards, yeah, I've had Enchantress, a 5-color Enchantress deck for a long time, and I remember like Starfield of Nyx, I ran it for like 3 games, and then I immediately took it out. And everybody always asks me like, "Hey, why aren't you running Starfield of Nyx in your deck? It seems like an easy inclusion." It's like, if I pass a turn with Starfield of Nyx, somebody's gonna wipe the board, and I'm gonna lose my entire board state. Like suddenly my enchantments are just creatures and they die. It's like, it's bad. You need to actively win the game with them immediately. So like, if you have like an army of, if you have an enchantment, like a huge board of enchantments, then you could just slam that card and then you can attack for lethal. Like that's the only way, really. Otherwise, it's like, what are you doing this for? Like, you have to win the game the turn you cast it, or else
Pretty much.
you're in trouble. Yeah.
Because, like, heaven forbid that somebody just goes like, "All right, Wrath of God." I'm just like, "Oh no!" So that, which is why I try not to play it immediately. I constantly hold on to it, and even then, people in my play groups have just had the instant speed interaction. I'm just like, "Oh, that feels so bad."
Have you tried aggro enchantments? Like maybe like a True Conviction and stuff? Like gives all your creatures double strike, and people are like, "Well, you don't have creatures. That's not a problem." And then you're like, boom, Opalescence.
There's no way that can work. Having double strike doesn't change the fact that
But you'll be like, "Hey, I don't have any creatures on the battlefield. What am I going to do with it? It'll be a problem later on, you know?" And then you're just like, "Oh, surprise! They're all double strike lifelink creatures, and you attack."
I guess
your
I've
enchantments.
never tried True Conviction in a non-creature deck, so maybe that's what I need to do.
Biggest brain.
I feel
play.
we've seen a lot of Starfield or Opalescence in earlier seasons of Commander Clash. I think we did
I've
it
played
a lot.
it.
I don't know if anyone's actually won with it, but I think this is actually a lot more feasible nowadays. You can like Teferi's Protection yourself. You can 1 of 8 million indestructible spells from white, so you can actually protect your board. when you pop off and then maybe untap and kill someone. But yeah, you strike the first person who's most likely to have a wrath, so probably Crim. You kill Crim. and then you hold up the Teferi's protection in case someone else does something else, and then you untap and you kill the other player, right? So I think you can do this one. This one's pretty doable.
It's not
It is
impossible. It's definitely
doable.
not.
Well, the question is, can you win with it, right? Everybody has so many ways to blow up all enchantments or creatures, so like all of them are losing battles. Like last time I played Opalescence, I remember I forgot what happened, but everybody just killed all my creatures instantly, or enchantments, which became creatures, and that felt kind of bad. Like on Commander Clash.
Yeah, I've had that same experience. I've started cutting it from a lot of decks, but I used to play it a lot. I do wonder though, like, is Opalescence Enchanted Evening? Is that another backdoor Armageddon?
Enchanted Evening is what I did play with a Heliod's Intervention.
So Opalescence and Starfield next, they turn all of your enchantments into creatures. Enchanted Evening turns everything permanents into enchantments. So now suddenly they're vulnerable to enchantment removal and stuff like that. And
I've often used Enchanted Evening as a defensive tactic. If you blow up all enchantments, your lands are gone.
You're gonna lose your lands too.
Sounds like a Patrician Scorn combo to me.
yeah. Sorry, Seth, you were gonna say?
Opalescence actually turns all enchantments into creatures. So yeah, Starfield only hits your own stuff, but I think you could do it though. If you build a deck around that, I bet you could do it in like just a couple of games. That one doesn't seem that hard. I think that might be like just below Cartographer's Hawk as far as how hard it is to achieve the bucket list item.
It is.
I feel like Cartographer's Hawk is just not going to happen. Like, I'm going to hold up removal for it now.
Yeah, we're going to make sure it doesn't happen now.
I'm not going to allow it. If I have a removal spell for Cartographer's Hawk and there's an off chance that it'll actually trigger, I'm using it, Richard. Why do you know
Fire
that?
off that path to exile.
Why do you know
I'll take
that?
it.
Oh, if you path to exile, it's even worse for you, because then if you have like another way to like a Knight of the White Orchid, your Knight of the White Orchid gets even worse too. Oh man, this is too savage. All right, sick. My next one it hits a little. It's a recent wound, you could say. On last season of Commander Clash, I was trying so hard to get Drawnew Lich Lord to work. So Drawnew Lich Lord is an old school commander that's near and dear to my heart. It was actually the commander that I had before I went to Toshiro Umezawa. This is a 5-mana Dimir zombie wizard legendary creature, and it says if damage would be dealt to Drawnew Lich Lord, you sacrifice that many permanents instead. So if Drawnew takes 5 damage, it is prevented, but you lose 5 permanents. And also you can tap it to flash back a spell, an instant sorcery, which is great. But the drawback is real. And so my idea with Drawnew was actually to turn Drawnew's drawback into the main win condition, essentially, where if somebody was going to like Blasphemous Act or whatever, blow up Drawnew because, it's such a juicy target, there's a lot of blue spells that can like instant speed give Drawnew over to another person, give control of Drawnew over to another person. So in response to let's say a Blasphemous Act or whatever, you can like wrong turn Drawnew, give Drawnew over to another person. They suddenly control Drawnew. Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to it. They have to sacrifice 13 creatures, or 13 permanents. There's also like Reigns of Power, where like you can instant speed give Drawnew over to another person. It's untapped. It's summoning sick, by the way, too. I think it's Franza. It's one of those. It's like there's some. You give control. You swap control between another person. I think it's Dominating Wheel. Actually, it has to block. It doesn't have summoning. It has summoning sickness, so it can't tap. And then they have to block with it, so they have to block the attackers, and they lose a bunch of permanents that way. Hilarious. There's also like a couple ways you can deal direct damage in Dimir 2 that I tried running. But the problem is it requires so much setup. You need to spend 5 mana to cast Drawnew, and then at that point, everybody's going to be gunning for it, so you need to have counter magic up, you need to have basically protection to make sure you're not going to get wiped out by Drawnew, and then you have to have your, like, swapperoonie spells, which might be, like, 3 mana to 5 mana, or more to get that going. So it's like it's an insane setup. I tried to do an abridged gameplay video on it, and I did like 5 different recordings of Drawnew. Each of them I failed miserably at trying to pull this off. I took it to Commander Clash. I played it twice on Commander Clash. Both times I didn't get even close to pulling off the Drawnew victory. So it's so cool. It's so cool of a win condition. It's just so hard to pull off. It's so hard.
The first step is you actually have to cast the Drawnew.
Yeah.
That is the first step. That is
Tomer
a hurdle
never
that you've been
cast
unable
the
to
Drawnew.
get over. No matter how much Criminite goad you and pester you, you just will not cast it.
I need a counter spell up or something to protect Drawnew. I can't just cast him. Or else
YOLO Drawnew.
Hey,
It'll be
YOLO
fine.
him. He will kill you. Like, what's the worst thing you can happen? You lose the game.
I think the last time you did it, Richard was also goading you, and Richard had the fight spell with his Galta ready.
I think it was like the first time. The second time Richard was playing like Lich's Master and you guys didn't even attack him. He was like, literally, he had Lich's Master on the battlefield. He would sacrifice a permanent for every single damage he took, and you guys have creatures on the battlefield, and you don't even attack him. And you're like, oh, nobody's playing Drawnew, so you can kill it. I'm like, just attack him! Just attack Richard! Why didn't you just attack him? You want him to sacrifice him? It's like, man, that's why I didn't cast Drawnew.
Yeah, he was ready to
Schmucks
etherize and
at the
settle the
table.
wreckage. Couldn't attack.
Man. So it's hard. I'll just say it's hard. It's hard to pull off, all right? Yeah. All right. Well, that was my gripe, I guess. I don't know how it's going to get pulled off. Not with this group. Maybe on a stream or something. But we'll move on. Richard, what do you got for us?
All right. Strixhaven Stadium. Ever since this card was revealed, I've wanted to win with it. It's a 3-mana mana rock. When you hit someone with the creature, you get a point. When someone hits you, you lose a point. If you hit someone and they have 10 points, they lose the game. And when you tap it, you get a point as well. I've played this numerous times, and I feel people are too afraid of this card. Like, you have like 2 points on it. Everyone's trying to murder you because they're like, oh my god, he's like 8 away from winning. Let's just hit him, right? But I'm like, if you play it in like an Edric deck, or a Birds deck, or a Tokens deck, I think you could swiftly hit someone. And like, even if you had like a doubling season out, you don't need to hit them like 5 times, right? Like just 5 little 1/1s, flyers or whatever, or the fairway. The trick is to not have everyone freak out and murder you immediately, which is what has always happened. And I'm not sure how to fix that because everyone's like, he's got 1 point. He's got 1 point. Better stuff him into the ground, right? So like, I don't know, short of having 10 creatures and dropping it in the same combat, like how we could do this. But I really want to do this.
The problem
I
is you're
stopped
playing
playing
at
it.
a table that actually Seth has changed this season. I think he's found more creatures, but at a table that doesn't have creatures usually. So
Speaking from personal experience, Grim.
yeah, for sure. I don't have creatures.
When Stadium first came out, I thought it was going to be like a staple level mana rock that I was going to play in every deck. And I played it like 2 or 3 times and just got murdered the way Richard is talking about. And now I just like don't play it at all. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. I guess you got to like hold it back and not play it as a mana rock and just like hold it in your hand until you get a big board and then try to like get this sneaky like one shot essentially is probably the most practical way. But then like, I don't know. Why don't you play an overrun or something? Like if you're not using your mana rock as a mana rock, it kind of defeats the purpose.
I think it's a lot easier than you guys think it is because I've seen it get pulled off multiple times on stream, and usually they use it as an overrun. It's like a 3-mana overrun. They drop it on the battlefield. They swing with 10 tokens or whatever. They go wide deck. You don't have to hit the same person. You know, you can send like a couple to somebody who doesn't have any blockers. Then somebody has some blockers, but they don't have any flyers. So you send your flyers over to that. And then as long as it adds up to 10, as long as you dealt damage with 10 creatures, the 10th one, you just choose who you want to kill. So it's actually
10 creatures and freely attack. How did it get to this
your
board
go wide
state?
deck? I don't know. I've
It
seen
sounds
people.
like there wasn't that much removal.
Yeah, Krim wasn't at the table, but like
it's more feasible to have like 3 creatures and then have like 3 combat steps or something, right? Like if I have 10, I can drop like literally anything, like Beastmaster Ascension, Coat of Arms, like just any finisher and anyone is dead, right? Like you don't need the stadium at this point.
Mana Rock. I really like. I'm gonna auto jam it in any go wide deck personally because I've seen it win.
Oh yeah.
Tober asks why he died. He's like turn
But
3
what
What do you
Strixhaven
mean? I
Stadium,
haven't
no
played Strixhaven
creatures.
Stadium against you guys.
Don't
You
get
got a
killed
stadium
because
and
of
then
it?
follow the propaganda. I think that's what you got to do, and then that will disincentivize people.
A
from
no
attacking
mercy.
you.
You run like
Yeah.
a no mercy.
Oh, a no
something. You're
mercy.
like-
Esper.
Gonna pay a
And
lot.
then you can do lots of things.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work for a
like
mana
the
rock.
card.
But the Mana Rock wins the
Mana Rock.
game, Seth.
Yeah,
Well,
that's-
kills
that's
one
true.
person.
That's
It
true.
doesn't win the game. He just makes one
Outside
person
beam.
lose.
I want to see Krim win with it. Actually, he just has like 1 creeping tar pit and like 1
Snapcaster Mage.
He almost
Strixhaven Stadium.
he almost
And
killed
like
me with
that's his win
Chatterfang.
con. He's just like slowly beating you down with damage and stacking up counters to like snap it off.
Remember the Commander Clash
Colonnade
episode with
attack.
Chatterfang? Krim almost killed me, right?
Oh,
with Stadium.
well, yeah, but I also
And he
I
screwed up.
no. I almost killed you normally with the combo, the infinite whatever.
Yeah.
That I screwed up.
Yeah. But
And
you also
then
had Stadium.
I punted Stadium, and I punted again. So that game was a lot of punting.
Well done, Krim. That's not a reason why the card is bad. It's just you punted.
That's a user error.
All right. Moving on. Seth, what do you got for us?
I have a deck that I've always wanted to win with. It's one of my favorite commander decks I've ever built. This is old school. I think I originally made it in 2015, maybe. It's about due to come back for another Revenge Week. Mono Black Storm. In this deck, it's just like the synergies are really cool. So the idea of this deck, and I've gotten close to putting it together. You need like several pieces on the battlefield to for it to work. But it's a Shadowborn Apostle deck, and you're trying to do the like Thrumming Stone Shadowborn Apostle thing. So you can just if you cast a spell with Thrumming Stone out, you ripple, you go 4 cards deep to find another copy and put it into play. So essentially, you should put all the Shadowborn Apostles into play. But the neat part is what it's really trying to do. It has a Carnival of Souls, which this 2-mana black enchantment. When a creature comes into play, you lose a life and make a mana. So that generates mana. And then you have Last Laugh. So when another permanent goes into the graveyard, it pings everything for 1. So this is obviously going to kill you. As the creatures are coming into play, stuff's going to die. You're going to get pinged. It's going to wipe out all the Shadowborn Apostles. So you need Lich's Tomb to not die. Lich's Tomb says you don't lose the game for having 0 or less life, but if you lose a life, then you got to sacrifice a permanent. So that lets you sacrifice all these Shadowborn Apostles. Maybe you got a Rotlung Reanimator or Xanthra Necromancer to double up your tokens. And the idea is it's going to make this machine essentially where you cast a Shadowborn Apostle and the end result's going to be essentially killing the entire table. You don't even got to do anything else. It's just all these triggered abilities are going to be firing back and forth. Last Laugh is going to be pinging everything, and eventually everyone dies. Is this like just weird machine of Shadowborn Apostles come into play? So I've always just wanted to see this deck go off. I've tried it 2 or 3 times in the past on Commander Clash. I've gotten some of it to work. I may have even won playing the deck by like attacking with Shadowborn Apostles, but I've never actually like got to see all the pieces come together. I can see them, like just looking at the deck list, I can see in my head like how sweet it'll be, and it's just always been just short of doing its thing.
Oh, that sounds ambitious.
Someday.
I like it.
Someday.
I get
Anything
thumbs up to
involving
anything with
Lich's
a Lich
Tome.
card in it.
Yeah.
Like a legit use for the Lich card.
Yeah, all the Lich cards are super fun. If it's a Lich card, it's usually just like it can blow up in your face spectacularly, or it can be
And that-
amazing. So
That one's, it's so perfect for the deck too, because not only does it keep you from dying, sacrificing the Shadowborn Apostles are an upside, because then that triggers the Last Laugh to deal damage and maybe gets you token with the Rotlung Reanimator or Xanthra Necromancer. So it's actually like maybe the only deck I've seen where Lich's Tomb is actually like kind of an essential combo piece to making it work. So it's gonna happen one of these days.
that sounds sick. All right, moving on. Krim, what do you got for us?
I think though, okay, so this combo I have yet to pull it off in my Super Friends deck, but it is pretty fun. And it's I learned it from Arena, and it was the infinite bolus combo. And if you don't know how the Infinite bolus combo works, it's pretty cool. So you have Oath of Teferi, Jace Cunning Castaway, Nico Bolas Dragon God. Oath of Teferi allows you to activate your Planeswalkers twice. Nico Bolas has a passive where you get to copy every other Planeswalker's ability. And then you would activate Nico Bolas's +1, right? Because Jace ultimate's at 5, Bolas starts at 4. Bolus +1, everybody exiles something, and then you go ahead and at the second activation, you -5, copying Jace, pooping out 2 boluses, then copying that and doing that over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And so you just get to have a bolus party forever because of Oath of Teferi, and it's great. Except for the fact when you draw Jace Cunning Castaway well before you have the combo, because that card is so bad otherwise. And that is all probably the most crimmy thing I could probably want to do, because I love Nico Bolas, so I would love to make infinite Bolas.
Wait, does it win the game immediately, or do you have to wait a turn?
Not really. Doesn't win the game immediately.
What does the Bolus plus do? Does it like mill?
It's everybody. Whenever I activate it, I draw a card. Everybody exiles a card in hand or on the field.
Oh, so you just empty the field.
Yeah, I just empty the field.
Yeah. Okay, but you don't kill them. Okay.
No,
I guess
pretty
they're
good.
dead next turn.
That's still
I just want
essentially
boluses.
Yeah,
I just want boluses.
That's actually pretty sick. I don't think I've seen that before. I heard about like I don't know if you guys heard about this before, but there's like a bolus deck concept where like you turn nickel boluses into from planeswalkers into creatures, and then you turn them into artifacts, and you turn them into like equipments and stuff. Like you have to turn them into equipment artifacts, and then you have like bludgeon brawl or something to turn all artifacts into equipments, and you equip your creature bolas with nickel bolas planeswalkers, and you win the game that way. Like you voltron up bolas.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
what it reminded me of. Kind
that's
of.
so sweet.
I feel like that can go into the same deck. Like that's your backup plan. Like plan A,
Something
infinite
with
boluses. Plan B, beat to death with boluses. All right, so rounding out the bucket list is my last one, and this is winning with my husband though. Daxos of miletus. So for those who don't know, I've had a soft spot for Daxos ever since he was printed in Theros. I've been intrigued in trying to win with him in like a Voltron strategy. I thought like, wow, this is like, I don't want to go Rafik or whatever. Like this is like, I don't know, 2011 or something. It's like Rafik is like the de facto Voltron commander. I was like, you know what? I want to be a hipster. I want to be cool. My first constructed deck is going to be Daxos. After I played Zedra, I was like, I'm going to go for Daxos or whatever. Daxos of Miletus, 3 mana, Azorius, 2/2, human soldier, can't be blocked by creatures 3 or power 3 or greater. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you exile the top card of that player's library. You gain life equal to that card's mana value, and then until end of turn, you may cast that card, and you may spend any mana. You may spend mana as though it was any mana of any color to cast it. So it's like very much like you deal. It's a little bit of evasion. It's a 3 mana 2/2 with a little bit of evasion. You get a little bit of life. But if you hit an opponent's land on the top of their library, you get nothing. You don't gain any life, and you don't get you can't cast it because you have to play lands instead of cast it. So you can whiff on lands, which when there's like 38 of them in the deck. Not great. But and you don't get to cast a spell for free or anything. You got to pay the mana for it. But it's card advantage. It's sneaky, and it's great.
Daxos felt like he should have been in Demir, by the way.
It's
on top of that.
But you gain life. That's very white.
Okay, that's true.
Very
that's
white.
True.
Look at that upside. And so I've been poo-pooed by both the viewers for suggesting, like, anytime I say like, hey, I'm gonna do a backseat brew, I'm gonna give you like 4 options. What do you want the next budget commander to be? I'll put Daxos there, and literally nobody votes for him, which that hurts. And second of all, Andrew, aka MTG Mudsta, keeps saying like he's a garbage commander, and then I tried playing it against him on stream, I think. and I lost horribly, so that didn't feel great.
Did you get dumped?
I think
Andrew might have been right.
No, I was just very unlucky. Very unlucky, that's all.
Did Andrew play a turn 1 Ragavan? And you're like, wait, that's
Wait a
my
minute.
commander, but like way better.
It's literally a Ragavan that's way worse. The thing that hurt the most is when they had Secret Lair The Walking Dead, they essentially printed Daxos with Glenn, Voice of Calm, which is Azori, same mana cost, same mana value, Skulk, which is basically better than Daxos' ability, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to his power, which is like 10 times better than like randomly hitting one card off your opponent's library and whiffing if it's a land. So it's like so much better, and I'm like, oh man, I wish. And now they said they're going to be making a Magic in-universe Magic version of the Walking Dead cards. So here's my hope. I'm just praying. I'm praying that once that happens, it's going to be a Daxos card. Just give me Daxos. Give me a back. I'll play it.
So it doesn't even have to be this Daxos. Just any Daxos. So we'll.
I mean,
fulfill the bucket
ideally it
wish.
would be like Daxos and miletus 2.0. Like that's just the title. They changed nothing else and just put the mechanics.
How many Daxos are there in Magic?
3. There's Daxos and miletus. There's Daxos the
the-
Returned. And then there's
Right.
Daxos,
Blessed
the
by the
Sun's
Sun.
Championer, yeah. So
Yeah.
colloquially, so Daxos and miletus original is Moist Daxos because he's blue-white. Returned is Orzhov, so he's
right.
Cold Daxos. And then the new one, Blessed by the Sun, is mono white and Blessed by the Sun, so he's Hot Daxos or Warm Daxos, whichever you like. So it's moist, cold, and warm/hot.
Or
Those
just
are
like the most
the
playable
trio.
one, right?
The trio.
the most playable one, right?
The Orzhov one's good.
I guess the
Daxos
Orzhov one's like yeah, okay, that one
He's
uses
legit.
counters, right?
He's great. Yeah,
It's
he makes enchantments.
better than the Azorius one. I think that's probably the best Daxos actually. The enchantment one.
The
How do you try
Azorius
to
one
win with
didn't age
Daxos
well.
though? Are you just like throwing equipment on it? Is that like the game plan? Just like throw equipment on it and hope for the best, basically? Is there any way to really build around that effect?
I went for auras. I went for Azorius
Okay,
auras.
okay.
I thought that was kind of neat. But then the problem is I'd much rather draw my own cards than randomly
More
hit
aura.
your cards and whiff. Like
Glad I
would-
hit this random goblin for my head.
you could kind of game it a little bit. You run Lantern of Insights to see the top card of everybody's library. So you could work on it a little bit. There's little things you could do.
I think this card's actually pretty good. Like I think
bad.
it's actually one of the most feasible things here. Like you play Azorius Voltron, you have all the white life gain synergies, like anything where, like Helios, you put counters to grow or you draw cards or whatever. You put a dowsing dagger on this thing. It's
Great. He's amazing.
I feel it's actually pretty decent. I would actually play this.
Yes!
like without. I would actually build a deck. I'm like, is this deck too strong for this week? Let me hold on. Let me take a look at it. Right? Like I wouldn't think it's a meme deck, right?
All right, I'm changing my bucket list from me winning with Daxos Miletus to seeing Richard win with Daxos Miletus. Richard,
Like
can you do
you
this?
Can put an
goal-
orange
can you do
in
this
here,
Anybody
right?
wins.
It's in the right
with
color.
Daxos Miletus
If
as their
anybody can win with
commander.
Daxos Miletus,
As their commander.
please.
It's not. It's basically 3 mana 2/2 with evasion, kind of.
But if you hit a land, it feels so bad. That's
You
like,
don't.
if
No.
play a
You
land,
put a
off-
Sword of Fire Ice and draw your own cards. You just ignore that second ability. You
What's
don't
the
want
point
those
of
cards
it?
half the time, right?
But what's the point of him at that point?
He has evasion. He's holding a big sword.
Richard is essentially saying that he could beat anybody. Like he's just gonna make it a Gray Piper.
A
or whatever
3
that
mana
is.
2/2 with pseudo evasion. Sign me up.
That
That's
can
better
flip the
than
dowsing
90%
dagger.
of all birds.
Yeah, that could.
I mean, it is.
It just looks so bad compared to like Thief Sanity. We just have like such strictly better versions of what Daxos is doing now that I don't know. It hasn't aged that well, I would say, compared to all these new thieving cards that we've gotten recently
When
that
are
are
we
pretty
doing
powerful.
Theros week?
Theros
What are
week
we
with
doing?
Daxos. We gotta rep it.
We need to do an anything goes so that you could play Daxos. I could play 5 color hate cards and then
We could do bucket list week. I don't know. That could be fun.
We're one Daxos away from being able to do Daxos week and each playing a different one.
Oh my god.
One more.
That would make me so happy. What would the next one be? We got moist, we got cold, we got warm. So we could do a Boros one. Boros one would be sick.
Yeah. Oh, that one might actually be good.
Yeah.
They should just drop the white from him and just make him blue-black.
No!
That one.
That would ruin the what I don't even know the cycle. It would ruin the cycle. You gotta have the white in there. That's the whole point. It's white blue, white black, white, and then white green. I don't know.
No.
Whatever. That would just make Crim kill you on the spot. Yeah. All right. So we talked about our bucket list, the things we want to pull off in a game of Commander. But we're going to just close things out with basically what we're looking to see Commander be, or a little change in Commander, a bucket list of our hopes and dreams for Commander, just to close out the podcast. So, Richard, kick things off for us. What do you want Commander to change in the future? What do you want to see on your bucket list for the future of Commander as a whole?
All right. On my deathbed, I would like the Magic community to recognize that white is not a meme. It's actually a very strong color today, like right now, with all the cards we have. It is a very strong card. I'm waiting for the podcast where I can elaborate on this, but I actually think it's the second best color in Magic behind green. And it will become very broken because people will keep complaining about white and Wizards will keep printing cards for white. And then one day you're going to be like, white is the new green. What happened? Because all the existing cards were so strong and Wizards kept reinforcing it with more cards. So that is my wish. And I play white every week just to prove a point.
Yeah, but you win with literally a thumbtack. Like, I don't know,
but that thumbtack is backed by white cards. That's the secret.
But can other people win with white cards? Like you win with skeletons and Kithcan and all that stuff. It might just be a Richard thing. Maybe you're just really good with white cards.
No, if you play there's no way to screw up Secret Rendezvous. You just play it. Draw the cards.
Cephalids, all right? You beat Garuda loops with cephalids, all right? So I don't really buy this, Richard. I'm sorry.
It's good. I'm just come on. Somebody back me up. Someone who plays white.
I'll back you up halfway. I think white has a lot of really good tools, but to say that it's like one of the best colors, absolutely not. Like, yeah, white keeps getting good things, but then like red gets Underworld Breach and Dockside Extortionist, and you got to think about what they're getting. Like, oh, blue's so much better than blue these days. What did blue get recently? Just a fastest Oracle, or I don't know. Like,
we got Secret Rendezvous.
Secret Rendezvous.
Who else can ramp? Only white can ramp besides green. Who can remove everything? Who can draw cards? Who has good creatures? Who has graveyard recursion? That's white.
Whoa, white got a welcoming vampire. That's insane. And what did green get lately? Oh, just a Toski. Like, just, okay.
I mean, white, I do think is underrated.
White is totally underrated. It's not the best at anything, but it's like the second best at like everything.
Second best. That's tough.
I would
second
say
best
like
at card
third.
games. Sell me on that, Richard. Come on.
All right. We need a stats episode where we see how many cards Richard draws in mono white decks versus like what other people draw in other color decks. I'm curious now. Secret Rendezvous. 3 mana, draw 6.
Draw 6 and draw 3 for you.
Who's drawing 6?
And 3 for your other teammate.
Yeah, your opponent spent 0 mana and 0 cards on drawing 3 cards. You spent 3 mana and 1 card to draw
I'm
3
done
cards
with
for
you
yourself.
guys. We will have a
What
full
value?
podcast. Maybe we do a color tier ranking or something.
Oh.
Where we can elaborate on the greatness that is the
like
plains. And all its conditional ramp and card draw.
Yeah,
It
give
lives
us
up to
feedback. You
its
can send
land
us
name. Very plain. So yeah.
Hashtag Clashmail on Twitter. Like, give us your thoughts on that, or you can, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below. What do you think about white being second best color in all of Magic? All right, moving on. Seth, what are your hopes and dreams for a bucket list for the Commander format?
So on my bucket list is getting Soul Ring banned. I've been trying to get Soul Ring banned for years now. And when I say Soul Ring, I also mean Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, probably. Like, throw those
Just
in there.
fast
There's
mana.
like super
Fast mana.
cheap, fast plus mana rocks. The format, I think, is really so much better without them. We've played without them. We've played with them. A lot of experience with both. And I think the format's just better not including them. So I would really love to see them banned. And I'm going to keep mentioning it whenever I get the opportunity until eventually it happens. I'm not holding my breath
There's
on
no
this one,
way that would
especially with
Zero.
Soul Ring. So I might be waiting a while, but I'm going to keep trying because I really do think it would make the format better and more fun if they were not there.
I think they're gonna power creep it actually
Yeah.
before they ban it.
We look at
better-
Soaring, we're like,
Soaring,
I don't know.
like,
if Soaring
Jewel,
likes
Jewel
it
Lotus
anymore.
is pretty close, right? Wait till we
Yeah.
get like one mana, like give colored manas if you cast your commander or something with it, like 2 mana. Like I'm sure they're gonna power creep it before they ban it. It's like grandfathered in.
They're just gonna make a better one. Yeah, like so it'll just be Swole Ring and it's like 0. It's 1 Phyrexian mana. It adds 3.
It'll be a white creature.
That's-
It'll be a 1 mana creature that taps
Yeah,
for 2
okay.
colorless.
Yeah.
That'll be a second.
Maybe a green creature. Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right. It would be green.
With haste.
This season of Commander Clash with Phil has just like reconfirmed like the horribleness of Soul Ring to me. Not because Phil wins, but like it just has this huge impact on the game. Whereas like this, you go into arch enemy mode and you murder one person, or they run away with the game. It's just like it's never a good thing. So I agree that it's not going to happen, and I agree they probably are going to be super tempted to print a better Soul Ring to like sell Commander Legends 2 or something because that'll sell out of boxes because everyone's got to have it. But please,
The
Wizards,
opposite
don't
is true.
just be
No
better.
matter how bad your deck is, sometimes you'll get a turn 1 Soul Ring and you'll pop off, right? And then that is like a feels good, right? Like you'll
Okay,
pop off
okay.
guaranteed some percentage of the time just because you have Soul Ring.
But if your deck is bad, don't you pop off and then just get murdered by the
Yeah, you
people
don't
whose
actually-
deck is not
Yeah,
bad?
but you
You're
did
just
what
like
you came to do.
Oh,
You
very
can't just play your bad spells. We can't help that, right?
So my take on it, I totally agree with Seth. We've been talking about how much we hate fast mana for literally years now, and nobody wants to listen. But I disagree with Seth. I do think there's going to be a tipping point where the casual sentiment will be like, fast mana is actually a problem. We don't like it anymore. I don't think fast mana offers anything of value to the format. I really don't. I don't think there's ever been a game that I was like, wow, that person going mana crypt into Soul Ring into my commander on turn 1 was
That was
it
fun.
really was so entertaining
Yeah.
for me for the entire table. I think it just makes it
What if
worse.
they get swords to plowshares immediately?
That was funny. That was funny. And you kept a 1-lander too. That was good. That was good stuff.
As hard as you asked for it.
Yeah, and you asked for it too. You were like, literally, I'll take it. But also, the other thing is that the most common complaints or the common rebuttal is like, no, this is battlecruiser magic. You need Soul Ring for battlecruiser. Absolutely not. You absolutely do not need. And actually, your battlecruiser magic would be much more reliable, consistent if you didn't have somebody having an insane start, because the better your deck, the better, like the higher power your cards, the better you can utilize that fast mana. So if you're going to battlecruiser, you're lowering the power to run these high power, these low expensive creatures. It's in your best interest not to have Soul Ring and Mana Crypt in the thing, because that means it gives you many more turns to actually deal with the higher power deck that is powering out their better threats. Like if their threats are coming out on turn 1 instead of turn 4 or 5, that means you actually have more opportunities to deal with them. The Soul Ring actually hurts battlecruiser magic. That's my hot take. That's what people don't realize. They're gonna realize it eventually. We've been yelling about Soul Ring and whatever for God knows how many years, but I think it's gonna come to a point where people are like, Commander's not fun because of these cards. Commander's not fun because of the cards. We're gonna have to make a change. It'll take a while. It will take a while,
hope
but
so.
we're going to get there. I believe. Calling it now. Token errata and this. Those are my 2 hot takes.
Wizards heard you. Everyone starts with a Soul Ring emblem on the battlefield. We'll have like Eminence. Your commander like poops out a Soul Ring on turn 1.
Well, at some point, being last place is going to be such a big deal, right? Because everybody's going to have so many fast mana, and winning turn 1 before somebody gets a chance to win is like it's becoming a thing in CEDH. Honestly, I've seen it enough times on streams and stuff where like I get to go first, I get to drop out all my stuff, like pre-game actions, cavern, gemstone cavern into freaking mana crypt into all my things. I win the game. Oh, you're not playing blue, so you don't have a force of will. I guess it's GG. I win the game. It's like it's dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, that's my hot deck. All right,
It's a
moving
whole
on.
podcast in itself. We've never done a podcast on Soul Ring, right?
Oh, we should.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna
Ban
click
Soul
on it
Ring.
because it doesn't have a tier list. Richard, come on.
No, if there's anything I've learned on Twitter is if you say ban Soul Ring, everyone is going to click.
Yeah,
and
it's gonna be instant
comment.
downvotes.
Everyone
Instant
has an
downvotes.
opinion.
Ugh, stop booing me. I'm right. All right, moving on. Krim, what do you got?
I just want to play with all the commander cards on Moto. That's I feel
This
like
is-
on
this
my
is the
deathbed
hardest
it's
one
What a
to
hot
do.
take.
Yeah.
What a hot take.
Might as well buy
the
some lottery
hottest take.
tickets so that you can win it and build your own moto.
Water.
I could probably design my own client before it happens. Legit though, like it's so annoying when I go to deck building. It's like, oh, cool, this card would be so good here. It'd be so much fun, and then it's like, go check out, and it's like, oh, that's right, it's not on here. It'll never be on here. Or these cards just don't work on, like they just flat out aren't even available on Moto, right? Like I'm just like, come on, I want to see how these cards work. But I get it, like from the programmer side, like some of these things are kind of like obscure things, like Whims of Fates like never works, or maybe it might work now, but there are cards that just don't work at all or don't exist, and it's just kind of a nuisance, especially when you think about like how some of them are in the newest pre-cons.
It is kind of crazy that they can program fake cards onto Arena, but they can't put real cards onto Moto. It makes me feel pretty bad. Like they, especially in a world where Commander is like such a huge deal. Like it kind of blows my mind that they don't make the effort to get all the Commander precon cards on there.
I think it just doesn't make them enough money. Because like you buy the cards, you never go into any tournaments, and you don't pay any costs to play Commander. So you just buy it one time, and that's it. And then you just play Commander for free forever. That's not a winning financial program there. So it's also a little bit annoying because we used to get all the Commander cards like not too long ago, like 2 years ago, which I mean, it's still a bit away, but like ever since they started going from like one Commander set every single year, they went to being a Commander set for every single standard set. There's just tons more Commander cards. And I don't think they increase, their programming side for doing that. So like, there's like 3 times the amount of Commander cards, and instead of like doing the same amount that they used to be doing before, and like a third of them show up, they're just like, here's 5, here's 5 of them. If you're lucky.
And they just do the easy ones. Like there's like face commanders that are missing. So it's just like, oh, this is super easy and similar to something we already got. So sure, why not? We'll put it on. But anything is like even slightly unique, even if it's like the most popular commander in the set on EDH Rec, they just don't do it. not worth the effort, I guess.
One
of the cards
cause we need Arena for Commander, right? And I don't know. I mean, like their data has shown the most popular way to play Magic is Commander, right? So why don't they have a digital offering for it? Why can't they fix Magic Online? I understand maybe Arena's too far gone for them to bolt on multiplayer, but they should be adding a different one, right? And they should make it cheap and accessible and maybe a subscription.
Cheap?
I was gonna say,
Win with
can you imagine
cosmetics,
the
right?
cost?
Keep selling those secret layers or whatever, right?
Let's keep things realistic. It's going to be more expensive than your paper decks.
They want us to like double buy all our Commander cards too now, right?
You have to pay to queue up to play a casual game with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I totally agree with Krim too. It's like one of the cards that I've always wanted to, like, what on my bucket list is blow out somebody with Ink Shield, which is a 5-mana Azorius fog, essentially. Like, you prevent all damage, and then you make that many 2/1 flying token ink creatures. And that's like one of my favorite spells, and I've never got to cast it ever because I don't have an Azorius, I don't have an Orzhov deck that can fit it in paper, and it's not available online because it's a commander card. And so I'm just waiting for the day that I can pull that off because it's such a cool spell. It's really easy to do, but like, not if you play online, because you
Spider
can't.
fog, Tomer.
Spider fog it doesn't scratch the same
Arachnogenesis.
itch.
Nah.
It doesn't scratch the same itch. I'm sorry. It's fine. It's all right, but it's not the same. So like the other thing I wanted from Magic Online from my bucket list was bring back two-headed giants. Bring it back. So here's the annoying thing is we had two-headed giant on Magic Online. It was there before. We had two-headed giant. It was a thing that was available on the Magic Online client. They removed it. They removed it with the release of Battle Bond. So when Battle Bond came out, it was the premise of it was you can play it together as a two-headed giant mode, which is the whole gimmick of Battle Bond. You draft a deck and then you and a partner play against two other opponents together, and you have assist cards, and it's so cool. And like Magic Online team looked at Battle Bond and they're like, nah. None of this, please. And instead of just like not porting the new Battle Bond cards, they removed two-headed giant altogether from the client. Not only did they not want to code any of the new cards, they just removed it from the program. So I'm like, what is going on? Why? Just give it back. I'm not even asking for the cards. I just want the format back. Why do you have to remove the format?
I don't know why they didn't just leave it up. Like, why wouldn't you just leave it there and let it languish? Like, I assume it wasn't super popular, but still, like, you already have it programmed in. Like, I can't see the harm. They leave Brawl up, and I've never, ever seen anyone play a Brawl game.
Oh, God. They should, if anything that should go, it's probably that queue, because it's so annoying. Every time we try to go and play Commander, it's like, oh, do you mean Brawl? No, I didn't mean Brawl.
Two-headed giant died for Brawl's sins. That's my crackpot theory. Oh, man.
That's interesting. Do you actually want to play two-headed giant? What would we?
Yes.
But two-headed
It's
giant,
fun.
60 card decks, right? They're 60 card decks, right?
No, they were
Two-headed
full.
giant
They were
commander,
just
right?
It was
The
just
commander
full
decks?
commander decks.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it's two-headed giant commander?
I remember
That would be.
we wanted
that'd be
to do
fun.
it, and it was like when Battle Bond came out, and we're like, oh, finally we have an opportunity to do two-headed giant on Commander Clash, and then it was like, oh, by the way, Battle Bond's out, and we removed two-headed giant. And we're like, oh, damn.
We still did it. We did our own really janky, like, workaround version, but yeah.
And it's still fun, but like, man,
I'd like to see like 8-player commander on Moto.
no.
Wow.
You know, like go back to when we were kids, where we're like we just played like a giant circle. It takes like 20 minutes for your turn to come back, and like no one knows what's going on. Like
Everyone,
That was the
all the
problem.
commander
like,
cards scale like infinitely now, like for each
I feel like they
opponent do whatever.
supported
Siphon
more than
mind.
4 before.
Oh. Yeah. Everyone would have like a postage stamp size battlefield, though.
Yeah,
It
would
would
make
not
those
be very practical.
Undaunted cards better. That Coastal Breach could be an S+ tier if you had 8 people.
Ooh.
One
yeah.
man will wipe the board. Ooh la la. Anyway, so those are our gripes out of the way. Bucket lists on what we want Commander to do. But this is a good spot to end it, I think. We talked about what we want to pull off in Commander. We talked a little bit about what we want to see in Commander. And that's about it. So thanks for reaching all the way to the end of the episode. Really appreciate everybody to listening in or watching us on YouTube or listening to us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, whatever you're listening on. Thank you so much for reaching the end. We want to also hear from you. Like, obviously, these are our own personal bucket lists, but let us know what you're most excited for to do still in Commander. What you want to see the format look like in the future. Let us know all that. You can reach us out easily on Twitter. #ClashMail is an easy way to reach us. You can also email us, or you can leave a comment on the YouTube comment section. We read those as well. And that's about it, everybody. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this sort of content. We'll be back 2 weeks from now with another topic that we haven't figured out yet. And until next time, friends. See ya.